Hello. So welcome to a World Talk Extra. I am on my own today, so Gio will not be able to join me. Um, and I decided, this video is going to be a little bit different than what we kind of envision the extras to be for, and so I was prompted. Uh, well, what prompted me to do this video, and this is completely unscripted, completely raw. What prompted me to do this video is a blog post by the Orca Behavior Institute, and it's a blog post that was written by Monica Whalen Shields, and it's about the most recent trend of the southern resident orcas in the northwest Pacific region. Um, it's about their like the decline in their presence in the area of like the San Juan Islands, but just in the South Sea in general. Now, uh, they have been seen on two occasions towards the outer coast of Vancouver Island, and they've been seen on two different occasions. They've been seen in July and August. I should say this video is completely unscripted, and I'm just going off on it, and so we know the southern residents are there, and that probably means that it's good eating there, most likely for them. But I remember when I was like growing up, was when I was like really kind of developing an interest in cetaceans, and one of the groups I had a massive interest in was the southern resident killer whales, and so I just read this blog post by Monica Whalen Shields, and I will leave a link in the description or the pinned comment, one or the other. Um, and so she's quoting some statistics of in 2005, from the months of May to August, there were 109 days of sightings. In 2015, there were 97 days of sightings between May and August. In 2025, there were three days, and the this is even with like an increase in the last like 20 years of conservation uh, towards them, aimed at helping to save their population, because their numbers have also been diminishing slowly over those last 20 years. And I I just wanted to take a moment to kind of react to this blog post because um, I I mean I can't really relate because I've never been in that situation of like being a scientist, uh, being a scientist like watching these orcas like day in day out. Um, but from like an enthusiast perspective, and hopefully one day from a scientist perspective, uh, it's uh, even making this podcast. I have this Orca Watch segment, and we've done three podcasts now, and the first podcast we did, uh, Orca Watch was kind of empty for southern residents, and I focused mostly on Biggs. The second one, we got 3 days of JPod being around the San Juan Islands, and that was it. That was it. July also did have the survey in the outer islands as well, at the outer coast rather, by the Center for Whale Research. Um, so we know they're there, and they were all accounted for as well. But we're not getting any updates on any of them because they've moved away, and it's kind of saddening for me because I like following their progress, and I really want to see them like bounce back, and it's difficult to see that um not enough has been done, and not enough of an impact is being made, and so Monica in this mentioned the current political climate of deregulating the environment, and she said, so I quote this line. Yet what have how many hundreds of millions of recent dollars over the last 2 decades actually done for the whales? And I and she makes a point that the southern residents are still diminishing despite this, and I th- I wanna respond to this by saying that like conser- a lot of conservation efforts uh they're not for today. Um, they're for the future, and I personally, I don't think that we are seeing the potential impacts of what we're doing, like in the last few years. Um, I don't think we will see that for a while because I mean we need the salmon population to increase. We need legislation that ban things that pollute in the water. We need those to actually take effect, and then we need the orcas to actually have more calves, and we need them to see a trend in their survival. And if it's something like if it's something like build up or bioaccumulation uh, within like the female orcas that then pass that on to a calf, and the calves die as a result of that. We're not going to see that for at least like a generation. We're not going to see the impacts of that for at least a generation, in my opinion. Um, so I think I think we do need to we definitely need to be continuing like full steam with like the conservation attempts. It's I think maybe it might be that we haven't been doing enough in terms of conservation. Like we're not being like we're not being strong enough with it, or we're not looking at the correct problem. We're looking at all these problems that affect the southern residents. Maybe we haven't actually discovered like the most pressing one. Maybe we don't realize what is the most pressing one. Is it the pollution? Is it noise disturbance? Is it prey availability? Is our perception of what they really need the most, is that correct? Do we really know them enough to say like if we're gonna spend like several like hundreds of millions um on their conservation, do we know that that money is being put in the right place to help them. And I think it's difficult to to see the results of that. And I think for me personally, I think the biggest things that will impact um, them is actually just removing removing the dams that block the river for the wild salmon. But then that's you're not going to notice that for a while because the salmon need to come back to those rivers, and the salmon population needs to improve as well. And then you're relying on two different species to start showing growth, and that can take a long time. So I think it's very easy for us to get disheartened by our lack of impact. Can I just say, like, very recent, last few days, um, I okay, so I don't want to go too much into this. Um, Over here in France, there was a law passed a while back which outlaws uh, cetaceans being used in shows, among other animals. And basically, it's like a ban on captivity for cetaceans. And this law this law comes into effect as of December this year. And so the park that had orcas in France, they closed down. And I've been a massive advocate of the Whale Sanctuary Project in Nova Scotia, who proposed to have a more naturalistic sea pen for them. And I've just seen things with this just stall for months on end. And the worst thing for me is I I get I'm getting disheartened because I want to make an impact, but there's only so much that I can do. Um, and that's very disheartening. Like when it's something you're really passionate about, um, and you're unable to control, you're unable to influence it as much as you want to, and it's it, I think it's important to stay positive with that kind of stuff, but it's hard. It's very difficult, um, and it's very difficult. It's very difficult to realize that sometimes you can't like make the changes that you want, or in enough time, and or that you might not actually see the results. Um, in this blog post, she did mention that maybe it's a good thing that they're not around the San Juan Islands because that means that they're showing adaptability and that they found somewhere else to find food, which they need food. And I I agree, and I think this is a key point to remember as well. It in that like it's very easy for us to be selfish when it comes to something we're passionate about, and it's I don't know if I would say it's a flaw. Um, the most professional scientists in the world, if they are passionate about something, they can not perfectly put that bias aside because they are always going to have a bias towards it, and it's I think it's important to realize that, and sometimes sometimes you have to take a step back and think that while I'm not able to see them anymore, and like that kind of makes me sad because I don't I can't engage with like my passion as well as I'd like. At least they might be doing better, but I I get this, and honestly, I really feel for like the researchers that study this population, and just seeing them less and less, almost never nowadays. I really feel for those scientists because I know how I would feel if I was in that role. No, I can't relate because I've never been in that role yet, but I know how I would feel. And this kind of goes, this kind of also goes back to what I mentioned in the last episode of the podcast regarding I-76 and how the researchers out on site must have felt um, in those moments. And I don't, I can't say how they would feel. I can't say, I can't speculate on how they feel. I just know how I would feel, and then I try and relate that. And yeah, I, I just want to say, I just wanted to say that, and it's this is not a video to criticize or anything like that. Um, I think this video is more like a video of reflection and like a reminder that um, you know it's more of a reminder that like these researchers are like people too, and this is something that they're passionate about, and I feel for them, and it's these orcas don't just like stuff we do to protect these orcas and to help them like help their population bounce back. It's not even just them that are affected. There's so many other people that are affected as well. There's like all the researchers, the community in the San Juan Islands. It's a big tourist hotspot because of the orcas. Without the orcas, they probably wouldn't get as much tourism. And yeah, I'm gonna stop here before I start talking about something I don't know enough about. Um, this I should mention this video has been entirely opinion based from my side of things. So um, yeah, other than what I've quoted from the actual blog, um, I just wanted to release a video that's kind of in sympathy, uh, but also maybe to serve as an encouragement for like scientists that have what they probably think as a seemingly impossible job to help these orcas. So yeah, thank you everyone for watching. Go check out the actual podcast itself. We are doing a few a few of the segments from the podcast. We're releasing those a few weeks after the actual podcast itself. That basically kind of to provide shorter content for you guys, like manageable. You can be having your lunch whilst watching it and not have to worry about setting your place for the next time. Um, they're also going to be like building interest for the next one. We're also releasing shorts. Some of them are kind of funny. Some of them are outtakes because that makes them kind of funny. We want to give the entertaining um, shorts. Whereas if you're there for the discussion, the actual podcast proper has all of that in it anyway. And yeah, so we are available on YouTube, but also the actual main podcast itself goes over to Spotify. Um, it may be that we start doing audio only on Spotify after I had some upload issues with the previous episode. So yeah. Um, Thank you everyone for watching. Massive shouts to the Orca Behavior Institute. I will be linking this blog post in the comments, either description or comments. Have a look. Have a look for those. Anyway, until next time. See you guys later.